Do you watch the top players in your TCG appear confident in the plays they make? Regardless of the size of the tournament, they're able to pull off complex combos without flinching, and they're able to stay in a game despite having poor top deck draws. Confidence is a key part of TCGs and enables you to execute your game plan, adapt to the board state, and play to your best when it matters the most. Today, we're going to be exploring tips and tricks on how to build and sustain confidence ability. A quote that I love around confidence is by Dr. Nate Zinzer. So confidence is the state of certainty about any particular ability that allows you to execute said ability more or less unconsciously. So what that means for us in TCGs is that we are able to conduct our plays without beginning to overanalyze the situation and start to doubt the decisions that we've made. So by avoiding that overanalysis, you've made that decision, and then you're able to then go ahead and play unconsciously, playing out the lines of play that you need to be successful in that moment. So this confidence allows us to conduct that TCG analysis where we decide on which line of play is going to be most effective in that moment, and then act out that line or play more or less unconsciously. I'm sure we've all had those moments where we've been in that position where we have that winning card in our hand. We've started to overanalyze that situation, talked ourselves into a different line of play, and then we've lost the game as a result of that. So that level of confidence comes from trusting your analytical ability and then executing that line of play more or less unconsciously. Confidence is key to making your best performances possible. Having confidence is not a guarantee that you're going to make that happen, but it allows us to bring out those personal sets of skills or characteristics that enable those best scenarios to happen. Confidence isn't just nice to have, but it's a competitive edge within TCG tournaments. When you're confident, you can make more decisive plays, so you can avoid more of those situations where you might experience decision paralysis. Once you've come to a decision, you have confidence in that line of play that you're going to then enact out. Now, trusting our gut can be the difference between winning or losing in those tight games. Sometimes our initial feeling about a situation can be the optimal line of play, and that can be the difference in big tournaments. It's not about blindly following our confidence, but we're actually acting on information. When it comes to acting in confidence, we're trusting our analytical ability about a situation and the lines in play and combos that our opponents are pulling off, that we have that sense of certainty. And that sense of certainty is a feeling of confidence. Confidence directly impacts our performance in TCG tournaments, and this can be the difference between consistently reaching high levels of play and falling off before top cuts within major tournaments. So in this video, we're going to be exploring 3 parts to confidence. Those are going to be competence, win spotting, and execution. Part 1 is competence. Competence is about practicing and rehearsing both your deck, combos, and lines of play. And there should be an intent behind this practice. Now, every time you sit down at a TCG table, or maybe you're practicing online, there should be a purpose behind why you're actually playing out that game. So this could be looking at developing lines of play or combos within your specific deck. It could be familiarizing yourself with your deck, or it could also be refining your sideboard. These are all opportunities to learn your deck, figure out what works for you and your strategy or play, what combos you're trying to work on, and ultimately this familiarity is going to enable you to perform to a higher level more confidently with your deck. Now, it's not just about performing with your deck, but competence also comes from learning the meta and knowing what cards to expect from your opponent's decks as well. If you sit down at a table and you see a deck that you're not familiar with, you're going to be less confident playing into that deck because you're not familiar with what lines of play and combos your opponent is trying to pull off. So familiarizing yourself and playing into a variety of decks can also help you understand what your deck is trying to do against specific archetypes and know how to play into those different types of decks. If you have that rehearsal prior to competing, then you're going to have that feeling of competence and then that sense of confidence heading into those matchups. We often think that we can only celebrate the big victories when it comes to performing in TCGs, but actually it's about celebrating those small victories along the way as well, so that we can create a positive reinforcement of our ability. Now, when it comes to those TCG tournaments, we should be looking out for those times when we correctly read an opponent's line of play, or we pull off a really cool combo, or anything that we can put down as you playing really well. We want to create that positive sense of ability because that's going to increase your level of confidence in yourself. One habit that's good to get in the hang of is to reflect after every round, 2 or 3 things that you've done really well in that matchup, so that you can start to look at what you're doing well as areas that you might want to improve. Part 3 is conservative strategy, cocky execution. Now when it comes to our TCG play, we're going to follow a conservative strategy. We want to make sure that we're taking the correct line of play, but then when we've trusted in our TCG analytical ability and we've come up with that optimal line of play, we want to execute that cocky. Now, when we're executing it in that manner, we're reinforcing the confidence in the decision that we've come to, and it avoids that level of second guessing what we're doing. Also, you may notice that in TCG competitions specifically, there's that mental battle going on between you and your opponent. And you may have been there previously where you see your opponent confidently lay down a card and you start to second guess the decisions that you're making in terms of your line of play. We never truly know what's in our opponent's hand unless we have cards that let us see it. So by confidently executing your play, you're sending a message to your opponent as well that you're confident in what you're doing, and they may start to second guess their decisions as well. We want to try and win that mind game battle, so that cocky execution sends a message to our opponent. So start implementing this 3-part strategy into your TCG play and see what difference it makes. In the comment section down below, tell me one thing that you are confident about in your TCG ability. If you like this video, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and turn on the notifications so you're alerted when new videos are released. If you feel like you know someone who could benefit from being more confident as a TCG player, feel free to share this video with them. And until next time, as always, make sure you win the mind game meta.